Hello and welcome back to Diary of a Dropout with me, Naomi Balderson. Sorry if my voice is a little bit croaky and a little bit annoying. Today's episode is going to be all about conscious clubbing. I went to a festival sober at the weekend and it just literally reignited my love of life. And it just really reminded me of the fact that dance is medicine, and I just wanted to share that with you. I'm aware I haven't posted in a few weeks. I keep getting distracted by boys. I don't need to go too much into it, but yeah, this year's definitely been a weird one so far. I've gone through two breakups, my first experience with grief, and just really been struggling with my mental health. And I've always been incredibly vulnerable, open, honest online, but yeah, there's just been some shit that I've had to deal with, but that is dealt with. And I just feel like I'm moving into a period of expansion in my life, and it feels incredibly exciting. And part of that expansion is this podcast. There's a reason I love it so much, there's a reason I continue to do it. And I had quite a few people coming up to me at this festival and telling me that they listen to the podcast, how much it helps them, how much they think it helps other people, and to keep doing what I'm doing. And I can't tell you how encouraged I felt and how special that felt, for people to actually say that in real life. I think my intention for this episode is to inspire people and to just really reinforce the fact that you don't need alcohol or to have fun, and you're actually cool, in my opinion, if you can have fun and be confident without mind altering substances. So, yeah, my general life update is that God or the universe puts us in uncomfortable positions and situations and as lessons and to help us grow and move through things. Slay. So I did spontaneously go to this festival, and I haven't been out in 7 months. Like, I stopped drinking and I haven't been out because I felt like I wouldn't be able to do it. The island I come from can be very like judgmental, for lack of a better word. Yeah, I think if you live in Jersey, listen to my small town syndrome episode, because it's just a small town, but it's on a rock and you can't get off. And a lot of the nightlife is really shit, but there's this festival, and I actually went because I fucking love, like, I love the music. And that is really, I think, my first point is that why are you going to an event? What is your intention? For me, I was like, I need to dance. I felt, even before some of this shit happened, I was like, nah, I really need to dance. And I felt like I needed to move my body and have a little boogie. And I did exactly that. But I not in a judgmental way, but I want to preface this because I often say, like, oh, I'm not judging people, and then I actually say something quite judgmental. Yeah, this isn't a judgment, but just an observation. I was looking around me, and just quite a lot of people were not having a good time and didn't really look like they wanted to be there, or looked like they were like just really like having fun. And I was just like, I don't know. So this week's episode, as I said before, I'm just gonna try and give my like tips and tricks for having the confidence to be sober. Like, a lot of people know that I don't drink and were sort of like, oh my God, you're so brave coming here and not drinking. And maybe in some ways that's true, but I think in a lot of ways that's not true. But it takes a little bit of extra work, and it takes a little bit of extra thought and intention. So I wanted to provide my sort of how I did it and how I had a really great time doing it, sort of tips and tricks for boundaries and cultivating your energy. And I also just wanted to speak about how I believe that dance is medicine, and how such a huge amount of healing can be done through partying, which is something that you don't often hear. And I think on my podcast, I have previously been very like anti-party culture and drinking and clubbing, and my opinion on that has definitely shifted. I used to genuinely, and to a certain extent still do, really struggle with clubbing culture, and felt that there were some evil entities, for lack of a better word, or energies that I did not align with. I think sometimes you can walk into a bar or a club and you get like a feeling of like, oh. When I was at that festival on Saturday night, I genuinely felt like the highest version of myself. So I wanted to give my advice on how I think you can best embody your highest version of yourself and what I believe that to be. So like I said, the pros of being sober is that like I actually wanted to go for the music and I actually enjoyed the music, which is like the main part I feel like of a festival. But I actually feel like a lot of people actually don't really care about that. So yeah, back to what I was saying before, is like your intention is so important. Are you going to connect with your friends? Are you going to vibe with the music? Are you going out of self-destruction? Are you going because you want to get shit faced? Because I've done that, you know? Like I've been there, and I think on this podcast I never want to come across as like judgmental or like above drinking or like anything like that, because like that's not the case at all, and I don't think that I'm above that. I'm just like simply sharing how positive of an impact not drinking has been for me, and I just hope to inspire people to have, yeah, just a greater awareness. A huge pro was driving there and back. Obviously I wasn't drinking, but it felt so wrong to like drive to a festival and then drive home. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, like I can do this. But it was so just genuinely empowering, because it's like I could get myself there and back and like not have to rely on anyone, not have to spend any money on taxis or lifts or like be stressing. And another thing, and obviously like saving money. I mean, I save money on not buying alcohol as well. And especially like nowadays, like alcohol is so expensive. But also it was empowering in the sense that like I was fully in control. And like this is a touchy subject because I don't want to be like, oh, as a woman it felt empowering, but like it did. You know, when I was drinking, I would often drink to the point where I wasn't in control and would put myself in unsafe situations and scenarios that had the potential to be really dangerous. And to be sober and to be fully in control, and also to like not have like a drink in my hand that someone could, God forbid, spike or anything like that. I was just like incredibly aware of my surroundings and felt very much able to be like, if I needed to, which was really lovely. Um, and then the next thing I sort of wanted to talk about is alcohol for me. I mean, like, okay, I've always been a party girl at heart. My family loves a party. I love a party. But for the past 7 months, I haven't given myself the grace. I haven't given myself the time. It's not something I've been prioritizing as partying or fun, which is sad to say, but it's true. But I also thought that drunk Naomi was this like fun, outgoing, confident, sexy girl, which she was. But I now realize that that is also the real me, and that I can access that state without alcohol very easily. And it's sort of about like a little challenge for you. And when I was sober curious, I was sort of trying to do this, is like, what are the actions that you take when you're drinking or, you know, exploring other expanded states of consciousness? How are you acting? How are you moving? How are you relating to people? And just taking a mental note or a literal write it down on your phone, you know. Who am I when I'm drinking? Am I smiling more? Am I moving more fluidly? Am I able to say things that I wouldn't normally say? And then I think once we're consciously aware of the behaviors, you're able to consciously bring them into your reality. So when I was drinking, I would say sort of outlandish things. I quite like that. I think it's quite funny just to be a complete authentic expression of yourself. And obviously not in an unkind way ever, but just be like, you know, just saying what's on your mind. And that's just an example. Or, you know, maybe speaking to people that you wouldn't normally speak to. These are like the positive things of drinking, but you can access them and you can have that energy without actually poisoning your body. And as much as I think we hate to admit it, like alcohol is bad for us. Like it is poisonous to our brain. It is toxic. Personally, for me, I think I am allergic to alcohol because I look back at my hangovers and I'm like, that's not normal. And I fully appreciate that not everyone has the same reaction to alcohol. You know, maybe you can drink and be completely fine the next day. And if that is you, all the power to you. I'm honestly jealous. I wish I could have that. But the amount of Sundays I spent with my head in a toilet with the worst anxiety, shivering, shaking, not able to eat, not able to even hold down water, was not sustainable or attainable or not something that I wanted in my life. So next I'm going to go on to talk about some like practical tips. I did post an Instagram post straight after saying these tips, but I just wanted to expand more on them. My first piece of advice, and I don't want this to sound superficial, but feel fucking sexy. Like, so I wore a dress that my ex didn't let me wear to the same festival last year, and I felt like $1 million in it. Like, I was like, I know I look so good in it. And like, I'm not saying that to be like, but no, you know what, fuck it. And that helped my confidence immensely. I spent some time on my makeup, some time on my hair, and but it wasn't the way that I looked that made me feel that good. It was the way that I cultivated my energy. And I really want to go into depth here because I think it's so important. And not just for clubbing, I think for important presentations, for first dates, for anything that you're like, I need to put my best foot forward, which, to be honest, maybe we should be doing that every day. But that's not always feasible. But I went into this festival feeling, the thought of it gave me anxiety. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to see all these people. They're going to make a judgment about me because, that's natural, that's normal. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm not going to be drinking. So that's like extra. Whoa, okay. So the things that I did to sort of protect my energy field and my heart, but also be open to new experiences and connections. So how did I do that? And listen to really uplifting, confidence boosting music as I was getting ready, and just be on a high vibe before I even got there. Like I was like energetic and energized before I had even entered that state of energy of the festival. But I also meditated and really just like grounded myself in my body, focused on my chakras, and I did a sacral chakra meditation on YouTube. I don't know why, I just felt drawn to it. And also, your sacral chakra is very connected with your confidence and your sexual and your creative energy. And I'm not saying like it was like necessarily in a sexual way, but in dance, I think there is a certain element of eros, which I would love to do another podcast episode about that, but that's just like such a huge topic. So I did this meditation and I just was incredibly in touch with that creative energy and that chakra and this like orange energy. Fully aware this might sound completely woo-woo and like I fully lost the plot, but trust me, it worked. And I also put a rose quartz in my bum bag, which is an incredibly heart opening. I am of the opinion that crystals and all these things work if you believe that they work. If you put onus and intention onto anything, it's your awareness that makes things work. And same, I lit up some Palo Santo and cleansed myself in my car literally before I went into the festival as just like a final cleanse, just like heart opening, energetic awareness. And the whole time I also just imagined a radiant white light of protection around me. And I also was surrounded by my fucking beautiful friend Holly, and we were just on such a high vibration, and we said going into it, we're just going to be in our little bubble of love. And like I said this in my Instagram post, but there's, going to events and just being in the public and being not surrounded by like your tribe, there's inevitably going to be creepy, angry, annoying people who don't have any spatial awareness, very like sloppy, or people who are having intense experiences on substances. There's inevitably going to be those people around in these sort of situations, but you don't have to let them influence your night. It can sometimes get difficult, and there were some points where I was like, okay, men are really fucking creepy. But you have the power to have this energetic force of protection around you, but also to not allow them to ruin or dictate your mood or take away from your vibration. And the power of a smile, any situation can be diffused with kindness, laughter, a smile. A smile goes so far. And when you're smiling and when you're laughing, no one can be that angry or annoyed at you, because it's just like, it is not that deep. Nothing is that deep. I just think having that preface of, no, this is something that I'm going to enjoy. This is a fun thing. This doesn't need to be a scary or bad or a weird thing. And you can just, like I said, smile and send them on their way. Peace and love. I've caught myself saying that a few times when someone is just, trying to put their hands on me in some sort of way. And, it's being firm in your boundaries, but also just being like, peace and love. Peace and fucking love, because you're not about to ruin my night. No. No, you picked the wrong night. So that was sort of my energy protection. But now some more like sort of practical things is, I think it's really important to have something to hold, because when people are drinking, like, there's a fun little, you've got a prop to boogie with, and sometimes you can feel a bit like, like, I don't know. So for me on Saturday night, it was a vape, and I'm not condoning it, and I haven't restarted vaping. It was literally just for that night. And also, like, the nicotine, like, it's a little bit of a buzz, do you know what I mean? Had to be done. It definitely wasn't completely necessary, and I could have had something else, but it did actually really help just having something. Another sort of practical tip is that it gets fucking tiring dancing for 6 hours, and if you have no other sort of, alcohol is a depressant, but it sort of can give you energy, and like often it's paired with like caffeine and stimulants and blah, whatever. So I did have a Red Bull partway through the night. Like, okay, a vape and a Red Bull is not the most like health and wellness like vibe, but it gave me that little extra buzz. And I'm not fucking perfect, I'm not claiming to be. I had a little Red Bull partway through the night, and it really helped me because I was flagging energy wise, just like from the pure, like, I danced. When I say I dance, I properly fucking dance. And when you properly dance, it's a workout. Like, I was sweating. So I needed that little pick me up. I will say I have an early bedtime, and it got to like 11 o'clock, and I was like, I don't know how I used to do it. I don't know how I used to do it, because I was like, Jesus Christ, it's past my bedtime. But I pushed through and stayed till the end, which I'm really bloody proud of myself for, because slay. So yeah, I've spoken about the importance of high vibe people, and also people you feel safe with and comfortable enough to be like, no, you know what? I feel safe and comfortable, and if you need to leave, then you can leave, and like, there's no like weird pressure on you. Sunglasses really helped me feel like I was just in a little bubble, because I do believe that eyes are the window to the soul. I just felt like when I had my sunglasses off, I was like, people can like see too much. Like, that sounds so weird, but just having those sunglasses on made me feel like I was in my little bubble, and I was just like, it's just not just me. Like, I was connected to people around me, and I also just had like a really big superiority complex, which sounds so egotistical, but I was just like, I'm actually cool as fuck that I can have this much fun without alcohol, and like be this confident and outgoing without alcohol. No, it was just such an empowering and good feeling that was just like boosting my confidence as I went, and as I was having a better time, it just almost got better and better and better, which I don't feel like is the case when you're drinking. I sort of feel like the first part of drinking is like the best bit, like when you're preying with people, because that's the time you're most connected. And then as you drink more and more, it's almost like you get more disconnected from the night, the experience, and the people around you. So next I want to go and talk about how dance is fucking medicine, right? So I don't know, I feel like I've had a lot of stagnant energy recently, and I just felt like dance is just like the best expression of your like authentic self, like, because, and especially like at a festival, like you can just be weird, do you know what I mean? And in what spaces in society can you just be like your fullest, biggest, like most expansive version of yourself? And it's just like such a good emotional release, and also connecting to other humans, which is what we need. You know, I always bang on about community and connection, and that's exactly what dance brings. And I've done ecstatic dance in London, in Bali, and I've done some sober clubbing when I was traveling and stuff, but I haven't done it in Jersey, and it felt even more like empowering to do it here, because it was like, no, this is actually harder, because you know, these people aren't necessarily strangers to people from my past, or you know, people that you know of. Like, it's even more difficult, but it's even more rewarding. Yeah, I sort of have this vision of conscious clubbing, and I just think there is a place for it. There's such a huge place and such a huge need for it in society, because I had such meaningful connections with people, and I used to be incredibly socially anxious, and I didn't even realize it. And I think the drinking and putting on such a confident front, as a way to like mask that, but in taking that away, I just had such meaningful connections, and I think I have a much broader world view, in the sense that strangers are just friends that I haven't met yet. Yeah. And that's such a gorgeous way of looking at the world, you know? It just opens your eyes to realms of possibility. I have this vision for conscious clubbing that I would love to explore in my future, and is one of my great ambitions to bring it into sort of mainstream society, because I'm learning that play and laughter and dance are the highest and like juiciest parts of life and of prayer. And like, I find God on the dance floor. Like, I find the spirit, the true essence of life. You know, when you love life, it loves you back, and it feels like a sexy, it feels like a love affair with life, you know, when you have that moment when you're dancing, when you have just that pure euphoria, when you're seeing the lights, and the music is like pounding in your chest, and like you're moving, and you feel like the truest and best version of yourself. I think that is such a wonderful peak experience that you just don't need substances for. Our mind is fucking incredible and creates incredible chemicals in the dopamine release cycle from, you know, house music, from drum and bass. You know, sometimes it sounds sort of cringy when you say that, like, that's an incredible form of like meditation and spiritual growth, is finding just that pure essence and pure love of life. And I think without fun, this like spiritual journey and this work can become very serious and very just like everything's so serious, and like and like nothing's that deep, and that's what I want you to take away. Please go and follow my Instagram and TikTok. Thank you so much for listening to me today. Thank you for listening to me every week. I love you, and I feel incredibly proud of you. You're doing amazing, sweetie. Yeah, follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Diary of a Dropout. Follow and rate the show. Give me a 5-star review. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you think. Fill out the Google form for anything else you want me to chat about. Send me a message. Get in contact with me. Let's create a fucking incredible community of dropouts, people who are changing and shifting the way we see the world, and creating a new culture of consciousness, and just fucking the 9 to 5, and living a life outside of the norms and outside of the programming and outside of everything we've been taught. Thank you for listening. This is Diary of a Dropout with me, Naomi Balderson. Goodbye.